Welcome to program 17 of my channel, Living in the Last Days. This is Ed Rodgers. Pay attention to the news and you'll see that the world is spiraling downward toward a one-world government at a frightening pace. The Bible tells us that eventually the Antichrist will emerge to supposedly save the world and bring order from the chaos. Recent events have left the world desperately looking for a man who will do just that. Have you noticed all the chatter out there around Ukrainian President Zelensky? Around the world, he's become a global folk hero. A song has even been written about him, and he's being seen by many as the world's savior. We know that the Antichrist will not be what he appears to be, but a deluded world is easily deceived. No, I'm not saying that Zelensky is the Antichrist, but he sure looks like what the Bible calls a type. The world's reaction to him is just what will happen during the tribulation, which just might be a lot closer than we ever imagined. My focus today, however, is on one massive impending change that will take us one giant step toward a one-world government that has been openly discussed and anticipated by world leaders in recent years. I'm talking about a world digital currency. Our illustrious president is working feverishly to establish a digital dollar for the U.S., possibly by the end of the year. At the World Government Summit in Abu Dhabi this past March, a representative from the U.S. boldly told the other participants that a cashless society is right around the corner, not a matter of years, but sooner than that. She made it clear that the globalist agenda requires a digital currency and a digital ID. More on the ID later. But today I'm going to provide an overview on what this digital switch is really all about, so you won't be taken in by the false claims. One primary feature of the digital dollar is that it will be programmable. This means that it is programmed to track and record every purchase you make, which may or not seem bad until you learn that this information can actually prevent you from buying certain things because of your purchasing history or things you have publicly said or written. Through technology, big tech and big government have been collecting data on all of us for years. This information is being divided into several categories and will be given a score for each category. One category will judge us according to how well we have followed the green agenda. Another category will give us a social justice score according to our views on wokeness, gay marriage, LGBTQ and transgender issues, diversity, inclusion, and what is called equity. Depending upon your scores, you may not be able to purchase certain essentials at all. If you're really a bad boy or a bad girl, you won't be able to buy or sell anything or trade anything. Incidentally, how do we know all this? The globalists are so confident in their ability to pull this off that for years they've been boasting about exactly what they're going to do. The U.S. representative at the World Government Summit explained that in order to keep track of every transaction on Earth, a digital system requires a whole new accounting system. Blockchain, as this new system is called, is currently used in cryptocurrencies, but it's used in order to protect one's privacy. In this new case, however, it will be used to prevent any private transactions. There will be no cryptocurrencies. Yet, in spite of all these realities, It will be presented as a wonderful new tool to help every person on earth to have a better life. One of the features of this digital system is what is called a circular economy. Here's how it works, or doesn't work. Cheap products are made under government control from recycled materials and then made available for us to rent. When we're done with them, probably because they don't work anymore, we simply turn them back in so they can be made into other cheaply made products. In the end, there are no quality products available to anybody. So much for the better life for everyone. But wait, there's more. Eventually, you'll only be able to purchase those products and services the government deems as necessary. Actually, a digital dollar is a misnomer. It's more like a series of vouchers for certain things deemed appropriate by the government or your compliant employer. Things you earn through good environmental and social scores. This is another component of a programmable currency. You'll be given a quota for certain products like food. If you've been eating too much fast food, you won't be able to purchase that Big Mac. But a salad will be okay. Are you starting to see where this is going? Another requirement for a digital currency to work for the government, is a central bank. There will be no local or regional banks, only one government-run bank through which every transaction will be run. Need a loan? The Fed will determine your qualifications from your social, economic, and climate scores. Isn't that special? President Biden has openly expressed his desire for a digital currency with a central bank connected to the Federal Reserve. When he ordered the Feds to consider a digital currency in his executive order of March 9th, he showed that he was actually way past the considering phase, as he called for the establishment of a U.S. central bank digital currency. Since when do you need an executive order to ask someone to consider something? This has been in the planning stages for years. Oh yeah, there is one more little change. There will be eventually no more privately owned property. That's incompatible with the new system that has everyone's best interest at heart. You're probably thinking, this sounds a lot like communism. Well, isn't that interesting? Could this possibly have anything to do with all the recent calls, more like screams, from the left to embrace Marxism and socialism? Once again, it's all connected. As long as Democrats have the presidency, they'll attempt to accomplish all this through executive orders and whatever else they can get away with. COVID was just the warm-up. I expect the younger crowd to embrace the new technology as another great convenience. Old schoolers will have a rough time adapting, but we won't have a choice. In case you're wondering why any government would institute such a massive change that would disrupt the way we do business and invest our money, you can stop wondering. It's just as it appears. It's all about control. A one-world government must have complete control. With complete control, we will have no control over who controls or accesses our private information or how it's used, thanks to the new digital currency. But if you're concerned about all the trillions of dollars the government has been spending lately, have no fear. The globalists have found a bonanza of previously untapped resources. Our bank accounts, including our savings, investment, and retirement accounts. All of these will become available to them as soon as the digital dollar becomes reality. The FBI and the Justice Department have already begun to establish a cryptocurrency enforcement team, including what is called a virtual asset exploitation unit, tasked with investigating crypto crimes and seizing virtual assets. If the feds aren't seizing our accounts, hackers will be, since hacking will become much easier once we go digital. But wait, there's still more. When a government determines that it will honor only one type of currency, a type that it controls and regulates, all other forms become worthless. Our current non-digital assets will all be worthless. It appears that our current administration is in lockstep with the World Economic Forum, the WEF, and all the other globalist organizations, so we can know what to expect, and it's a cashless, electronic global currency system of its own making, requiring technology that they control. The WEF has boasted for a long time now that a great economic reset is on the way, and now we know exactly what they had in mind. It'll require some sort of digital identification system, which may take the form of something like the proposed vaccine passport, a mandatory app on our mandatory cell phones, or it may be a chip implanted under our skin. Whatever it is, it's not the mark of the beast from Revelation 13, because the Antichrist hasn't risen to power yet. Whatever form the required identification takes, it'll likely pave the way for the mark of the beast once the tribulation begins. The massive inflation we are currently experiencing is part of the plan. And despite the insistence that it is transitory, it's just temporary, they know better. The actual inflation is far, far worse than the numbers being posted. The cost of many consumer items has risen 300 to 500% and more, and the trend continues. Our nation is in such debt that China owns us. We as a nation are about to reap what we've sown, and we have no right to ask God to bail us out. So is all this inevitable? I don't know. If it is, can we slow it down? Maybe, but only if there is enough opposition. But this requires that we know exactly what's really going on. In the end, though, it's all in God's hands. And considering the depravity and corruption in our nation today, I wouldn't expect mercy. Haven't we been given sufficient time to repent already? So, could all this come about in a year or less? From a practical standpoint, it seems impossible that so many massive changes could be implemented that fast. Every segment of our economy must be scrapped and replaced by a totally different system. I can't imagine every person and every business and corporation being willing to endure such sudden and drastic change. But then, if this is all part of God's plan, time is irrelevant. Look at how our world has changed in the past 2 years. In case today's program has made you fearful, in closing, I propose a different perspective. Of all the times to be alive, this is absolutely the most exciting. And God has been preparing us for this day. It's time to be about our Master's business, to bring people to Him, to lift Him up, to put feet on our faith, and bring Him glory in spite of the pain we may have to endure. And speaking of pain, I've been having some strange pains recently in my joints, especially in my elbows, right there. Twice a day at exactly 8:50. 1 minute later, the pain's gone. It had me baffled until finally I figured it out. I've been suffering from tendonitis. Get it? 8:50, 10 to 9. This, you see, it sounds like, never mind. Don't forget to check out my website at edrodgers.net. I've got a lot of books and articles that will help you through the exciting days ahead. While you're there, consider signing up for my twice weekly blogs and newsletters, where I offer more details on current events, what's happening behind the scenes around the world, locally and especially in Washington. There's also some articles to help you stay strong. I hope you'll consider subscribing to my channel. There's a lot more to come. Till next time.